Alex Hormozi is a great example of this.
Great example.
I've never met the guy. I'm sure, just by the way that he speaks, that he is lovely in person, and I'm sure that I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but I've criticized him.
Yeah.
Openly and honestly, I've criticized him. And people are like, "Wait a minute, your best friend is Chris Williamson, and he's
had him on the show.
Yeah, and he's yeah. And I go, okay, what next? Like, what do you want me to do?"
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel guilty in like participating in this surface level denigrating of Alex Hormozi. But I do have to make a point at some point.
Yeah.
You know, I have to believe in what I believe in, and if he's an example of somebody that I don't believe in, then that's my point.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's a lovely guy, and like we will sit across from each other at one point, and hopefully we're nice to each other and whatever. I'm ready for that. And I'm also ready for him to hate me and be a dick to me and all of that. Like that is part of growing up. That is part of. Yeah.
I think what you're doing a really good job of, though, especially with those caveats, is you're divorcing the message from the messenger. You don't need to, just because Alex Hormozi said a few things that you disagree with and you called him out, which I think have been awesome videos too, by the way, doesn't mean that you're saying Alex Hormozi is a bad person because he has a bad take.
Right.
And I think that's where culturally we've gotten to. It feels as though like because if people mistake who they are for their ideas, then if you challenge my ideas, I mistake you for challenging who I am as a person.
Right.
And if I feel attacked, guess what I'm going to do back? I'm going to attack, and nothing gets done from that
Well, I think
place.
capitalism leads people to divorce themselves from their ideas. They create ideas that they may or may not actually fully believe in, or it may not display who they are.
And they're using it for either selling an idea or a cause.
He has 3 million or so following, and like the net that he casts is wide. It's just boom, like this. And the biggest excuse would be like, hey, look, you don't agree with the 72-hour work week, but he's talking about building a business. If you want to build a business, you have to go to work, come home, and build your business. And that's 72 hours. And I go, okay, that's fine. But his net is to people who are not doing that.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And it's important to clarify that over and over and over again. My answer to men who are struggling is not to, from 16 to 28, work 72 hours a week, which is blatantly what he said.
Yes.
Now, there might be nuance there, but even still, the origin of that idea is not the answer. And I brought up capitalism, and it's like, I don't know if I have the ability to navigate that discussion. Like, what is Zach, a communist and all that? It's like, it's more of like this idea of, okay, growth at all costs.
That's right.
Money at all costs, improving quarter upon quarter upon quarter. Nothing else matters. The business is an entity that consumes and shits out.
That's the cancerous growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, some guys love that, and that's great, and that's cool. But the problem is, like, that's not how life works.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be an antithesis to that. There has to be something like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
You know, I recently was contacted by this leftist, and he's like, look, I see your content, and people are kind of championing you on the left. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I got called a fascist the other day.
Of course, yeah.
You know? And it's because I'm looking at, like, quote unquote manosphere things, and I'm just like, let's get a little bit deeper about this.
Yep.
And I'm sure you know, in the spirituality realm of this, it's like there are guys who take advantage of spirituality.
100%.
Yes.
Dude.
And that to me is bullshit. Like, just like the way that we can fix male loneliness and these problems that are male specific, and to have it, and to think that women shouldn't be involved, or to think that we need to disregard women's thoughts, or to think that we need to disregard other people's thoughts. You need to go and be a lonesome warrior and all of this. Like, that is not how the world works. And I'm here to say that it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And people on the left are like, hey, whoa, that's crazy. That's cool that you're saying that. I'm like, no. This is just middle shit. This is, you know,
sensible.
Yes, this is sensible. Yeah, it's very interesting.
But it's sensibility is something like nuance, and the online sphere isn't playing that well, algorithmically at least, to nuance.
No.
This is where it's very interesting, where you've captured this this space somehow online where you are presenting nuanced ideas and they're actually performing really well, which is very refreshing, because for the most part, it's very polarizing stuff that typically does well. It's either like hard right wing, this is the way it is, like fuck the left, or it's hard left wing, this is the way it is. And that seems to go viral, probably because most people just spend their time arguing in the comments. Insert a figure that's like, let's think about this, let's push back on this, let's have a conversation about this. And more than what's almost more interesting in the content itself is like what happens in the comments. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of rational people here that appreciate a balanced message.
Somebody, I made the Hormozi comment because he was talking about moral relativism and cultural relativism, and his example of it was bad. His analogy was bad. He's saying, men used to marry and
right, I remember,
and have sex with 15-year-old girls, like that 200 years ago. That was a thing, and now it's not a thing. That means that our idea of morals have changed, and so on and so forth. And that is so simplistic of a thing to say and a way to say it. And it was said in such a, because he's just a business-minded guy.
Big time, yeah.
Right? He's not an evil guy. There are people like, oh, he's a pedophile, check his hard drive, all this shit. I'm like, no. No. And this is where like podcasting and all this can get kind of dangerous, is if you have a surface level understanding of moral relativism and you don't challenge yourself on it. If you have an aha moment and then you go and project that out into the world, you need to understand that you did not do you did not give it the scientific rigor that aha moment deserves, right? Cultural and moral relativism is not going to be the reason why if you have had family issues previously or you've had childhood trauma, that's not going to push you past it. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It is not the answer. There is not a singular thing that can answer all things. Mm-hmm. And so what he got into, and I know I'm speaking kind of generally about this specific thing, he started talking about this cultural and moral relativism, and it kind of just snowballed into like a grand thesis of the world. And I just think it got out of his own control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happens a lot on Joe Rogan's podcast. Yeah. That happens a lot. Yeah. Mainly Joe Rogan's podcast. It might happen on Chris's podcast. It might happen on this podcast. Yeah. And that is the true problem that people have with podcasting.
Of course. Yeah.
Right. You've heard people are complaining about the manosphere and all of
podcast bros are the problem, etc.
Yes, voting for Trump and all of that. Yeah. That to me is my thesis around why this is happening.
Yeah. All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.